Hi, I'm Adrian Watson. I'm the Executive Director for Jamaica Environmental Entrepreneurs Advocacy Network, JEEAN for short. And this year, in partnership with Unleash, we decided to run an Unleash Caribbean Hackathon for 2021 because Unleash was not able to do their Global Innovations project for 2020 and 2021 because of the COVID pandemic. So JEEAN decided that we're going to help them host a Caribbean Hackathon this year for the region. We had some splendid participants like Tracy, Sasha Gay, Romario, Dean, and Nicholas. They actually helped to prototype locally in Jamaica for their team that were spread out around the Caribbean, right? And so because we're based here in Jamaica and the funding was actually given to us by the public affairs section in the US Embassy, we wanted to make sure that they were able to craft an innovative prototype because JEEAN is first and foremost a incubation ideation consortium filled with young people as a part of the board, right? And so JEEAN has a mandate to help young people in particular innovate around a particular idea that basically looks at social entrepreneurship and environmental challenges and how to ideate and prototype around that, which is why partnering with the Unleash Innovations Lab basically was a good idea because they had the methodology already thought out and we had the manpower and the reach across the Caribbean region. We wanted to innovate around SDG 15, which is life on land, and SDG 14, which is life below water, and SDG 13, which is climate action. Today we are actually doing this interview at the waterfront, and one of the participants actually focused in Seaview Gardens, which is Sasha Gay. Now Seaview Gardens is a community where I'm also from, right? And she's also from that community. And what's so special about Seaview is that it has certain pollution problems with solid waste that actually impacts on the harbor right behind of me. And the challenge there is that the gullies coming from all the way from Waterhouse and the surrounding communities of Washington Boulevard and other surrounding communities in Kingston and St. Andrew actually feeds garbage into the Kingston Harbor through the gullies that comes through Seaview Gardens at the foot of Hunts Bay. Now that garbage actually ends up in the harbor right behind of me and also in the mangroves, right? One of those mangrove sections is actually a Ramsar site and a protected area in the harbor. It's one of the 2% of mangroves left on the island because about 98% of our mangroves have been depleted, which is why it's a protected area, right? And so we want to be able to help her prototype. So when she won some of the funding, she actually came up with a very innovative idea of how to capture some of the garbage and prevent it from going out into the harbor, thereby indirectly protecting that particular protected mangrove area out by Port Royal, right? So if we can just follow her and limit the garbage that goes out into the harbor, maybe we can stem the tide of degrading our natural heritage and our natural resources. I'm most impressed by is Romario Simpson, right? He is creating this aquaculture system where it encapsulates both fish stock and also vegetable stock, right? And what happens is that he's circulating both nutrients and also water. So you're talking about water conservation, you're talking about nutrients conservation, and all can be fed at the dinner table. So the system that he's designing can fit in a simple household where they can become more food secure. No better innovation than just that. So once they have a little funding and they can afford a vat and a pump and a small hose to create the feedback loop system, it's a very cheap system to use. You just need about 1,000 USD to create a system in a wholesome way. And that ensures that one small family of about 5 to 10 can actually have both protein and vegetables to supply them for a little while, right? And you can also scale up the system to actually create it where they can actually earn an income from it. and Ramari is investigating the scalability of it. And so one household can actually create income for themselves, food security for themselves, recycle water, and also recycle nutrients in one system. That actually feeds into life on land and life underwater, and actually helps us combat food security in a major way in a climate reality, right? So no longer will they have to spend money to transport their food back and forth. It cuts down on the carbon emission of transportation very quickly. So Tracy and her team actually pitched the idea of creating a water reservoir, looking at water conservation. So what they want to be able to do is terraform a piece of land where it comes down into a conical area, and then that water is filtered down into a reservoir. Now they already have a stone version of this where they're planning on setting up the prototype, and what they want to do is expand on it with a few tanks to actually pump the water up to gravity feed onto crops. So like the idea with the Sargassum Sea, they're very focused on agriculture. So they want to be able to utilize the water that actually floods out the area where Ty Dixon is, and then channel that water into the pond by terraforming the area, and then gravity feeding it back up into the tanks, and then use it as irrigation for when they have droughts in the area. So like right now they have a lot of water that's available to them because of the high rainfall, but during times of drought they can have 9 months of drought stretching on. Now 9 months for a small island developing state to face drought is a very serious issue, because most of Jamaica, like the rest of the Caribbean island, about 90% of our water reserves are water runoff, right? We being a very limestone intensive area, we don't necessarily have a lot of channels that we can go through to get the water unless we're going to pump it out of our aquifers, which can be a very unsustainable way of looking about doing things. So for us, the more sustainable way is to catch the water runoff and then store it for later usage, or we are going to have to drain our aquifers. Now, for a small area like Ty Dixon, which is a very low income farming community that is plagued by both flooding and also drought, it's best to actually capture that water when you can and divert the flood waters into some kind of pond and then store that for later, and then slow release it into the area for agricultural use, which is what they want to do. So Unleash Hack was a success for these reasons. We had 5 beneficiaries, 5 winners of funding. 4 of them were able to pick up on the funding and actually produce a prototype. And one of the things that we are planning on doing going forward is to actually try and build out an incubator lab for ourselves as JEEAN, so that we can provide these teams with the practical and technical skills and make those available to them. Another success is that we were able to get the US Embassy Public Affairs section to sponsor us and to sponsor the program. And so with the lessons learned from this process, we want to actually feed that into the incubator style program over the next year to help support our young entrepreneurs and even our older entrepreneurs who are brainstorming ideas around Jamaica and the wider Caribbean's challenges, and in order to create better impact. So I wanted to actually thank our partners, both Unleash and the US Public Affairs section, for the funding support and the technical support that they've been able to lend us, right? Because without them, we would not have been able to do that. And so JEEAN, as the organizing team for the Unleash 2021 Hackathon, thanks all of our sponsors, the US Public Affairs section, the US Embassy Public Affairs section, Unleash, based in Denmark, and of course my wonderful team here at JEEAN, Adrian, Siobhan, Deontay, Callie, Matthew, Alexandria. Thank you so very much for being a supportive team. Adrian here, signing out.